Hi, everybody. It's Denise, and today I'm talking about the horoscopes for July. And I'm recording this on July 2nd, so don't worry though, right? And I'm gonna have all the timestamps. The last video, the timestamps were not done correctly. No, I left out a zero. Um, but yeah, everything will be there, and the chapters will be noticeable. So you click on the timestamp, and you can go to the next chapter or the next sign. Let's get into it because July is an exciting month. I would say it's a little quiet, sort of, but it is still exciting, right? So we have the sun in nurturing and protective Cancer until the 23rd, when it enters into Leo. Now, Leo is about our self-expression, our talents, how we shine, how we have fun. It's also romantic, it's playful, but it is, basically the real gist of Leo is our ego, or in a good way, though. It doesn't have to be like egotistical the way it is how we express ourselves and how we shine. And so it's also about children because it has to do with anything we create. Children are, a product of procreation, of course. And so yeah, Leo is a fun month. It's a month of, it's a fun sign, right? When the sun moves in there, a lot of people go on vacation because it is about play, hobbies, and enjoying yourself, right? So it can be a month of that, right? Now, the energy shifts from an emotional and protective, as I was talking about Cancer standpoint, to a more expressive attitude on the 22nd, right? Jupiter enters Leo, and that's going to help expand that. Yeah. Jupiter wants to make everything bigger and expand. It wants things to grow. Jupiter is, associated with higher purpose, wisdom, and so learning and things like that. So that is going to, Jupiter will help expand hobbies and talents. I'm going to do a separate video on that, but whatever is going on for you in Leo and whatever house that is for you, I'll be doing that separate video very soon, right? And Jupiter will be there for 1 year, right? And so, yes, and Leo, it's going to help us grow there and be more. Jupiter and Leo will help us be more authentic and true to ourselves, right? It's already there, right? It moved into Leo on June 30th, right? Just a few days ago, right? So we also have Chiron newly in Taurus, and it hasn't been there since 1984. I have a whole separate video on that. Chiron is the wound that we can use to sabotage ourselves. It sometimes it is we don't understand it until we learn our chart, until somebody explains that to us, and they know what to look for in the chart, right? Um, yeah, so but Chiron and Taurus can help us to refine our values and what's important to us, what helps bring stability and well-being, for sure, and also healing, right? Yeah, so let's move into Aries and Aries sun, moon, and rising. And Aries on the third, I have the wheel on the third, I have you on the ascendant. Mars, your natal Mars, will conjoin with Uranus. So I also have a video on Uranus, and you can check that out within my videos. I can, link that at the top, but it's easy really to look for. It comes right up in case I forget to link that there, which is very important. Uranus moving into Gemini for a 7.5 year stay, almost 8 years. Yeah. So, but on the third, we have it right here. Mars is conjoined with, right here, you guys, conjoined with Uranus right there. Mars is the courage and the drive, the planet of action, right? It is what motivates us. And it is there with the planet of change. So for you, Aries, it's in your third house of thinking. So we have you thinking about new goals, new ideas, right? It's also the house of communication. Maybe you are kind of, moving into a new time of changing the way you communicate. This is the house of skills and your willpower. Also about siblings. Yeah. So you're doing something new, or you're planning to do so, because we have Mars making that trine to Pluto in Aquarius, in very future-oriented Aquarius, right? And Pluto is change and transformation. So that is in your 11th house of future aspirations. So definitely you have some type of new plans or goals, Aries, for yourself. Maybe it's going to be gradual, but the fact that Mars is, kind of fairly new in Gemini, and when a sign when, it's at 3 degrees with Uranus, but when a planet is newly into a sign, it's more powerful, right? And so, yeah, and also Mars is in Gemini, so you have the information you need, or you will have it, Aries, right? Pluto's asking for change, and part of fortune indicates it's something good for you. So here we have part of fortune. Mars is actually making its a little bit, yeah, we still have a sextile here. Mars is at 3, and part of fortune is at 29, which is, very close to 1. So we have this is the last degree, right? It's in Pisces. It's in, very kind of hopeful and idealistic Pisces, asking you to trust in your intuition. It's also in your 12th house. So Mars is about something new, sextiling this part of fortune in your 12th house, asking you to release something too that can help you move into this new goal, or to help you thrive. Yeah, that's what part of fortune is associated with. Mars is ruling your eighth house, Aries, your eighth house of transformation. So we could see a big theme here. And it's also in Scorpio, right? Which is right here. And, this is also your house of intimate relationships, whatever they are, business or romantic, shared wealth, right? And other people's money. And this is also about love and sex and secrets, power, and potentially, crises too, but potentially what has been hidden from you, or just not available to you. Meaning sometimes we can understand these deep psychological things when they become available, when we can actually see them, right? And so, that, depends on a lot of things, depends on your own chart and, what's going on in your life as well. Right. So we have Mars is also making a sextile to Neptune. Neptune is very idealistic. It can create uncertainty. It can. Um, but it is about our dreams and our visions. And Mars has the courage here. It's also an intelligent Gemini. So it's asking you once again to kind of trust in these, whatever you're hoping for here, trust in your dreams and your visions. Yeah, trust your intuition. That's really what that means when we see trust, when we say trust, right? For sure. And right before Neptune goes retrograde, when Neptune goes retrograde, it's going to be retrograde until December the 12th of this year, and it gives us a long time to think about our dreams, our visions, and possibly to hone our intuition. Yeah. Um, but Neptune wants to be very idealistic and to believe in that. Sometimes it can get a little uncertain because there's such an idealistic approach, like, oh yeah, that's so cool, that can just work for me, but without kind of thinking of, anything else, right? Because Neptune is very dreamy. It's very idealistic, but it's not very realistic, is what that means sometimes. So that's kind of, the difference sort of between the two sides of Neptune, right? And so, but Mars is here, and Mars is very sure of itself. Yeah. So trust in that, whatever that is for you, Aries. Neptune's you might have another 5 months to think about whatever that is, right? And on the 9th, July 9th, which is my son's birthday, yeah, which is interesting because Venus enters Virgo. So that will be good for him, right? I think it will be, right? This is helping you, Aries, though, to, be more motivated in your daily life about your obligations, to help you solve problems, regard also, more motivated regarding your work, your wellness, and what brings you, and your relationships as well. But you're seeing your relationships in a very practical way, right? What kind of works for you in relationships? Virgo wants everything to work well. It's a functional sign. It is about refining and improving. Everything has to do with process or the details. So, Venus entering Virgo will help you in your sixth house there, can help you with your work, and, and also daily habits that are good for your well-being, right? And we also have Venus in Virgo is supporting your relationships with your coworkers, learning new skills, creating more self-discipline for yourself that supports your daily life, your lifestyle, right? And Virgo, yeah, as I said, Virgo wants things to improve. On the 12th, Aries, the sun will be conjoined with Mercury, and Mercury will be retrograde until the 23rd of the month, right? Mercury is the way we think about things. It's, I was saying earlier. And so the sun will align really with Mercury retrograde in nurturing Cancer. Let's move the wheel to the 12th, is that the 12th, I believe? Um, yeah, on the 12th. Let's move this up here. Oops, and I'm moving hours instead. Okay, here we are, and let's brighten the wheel. And here we have excuse me, here, the sun conjoined with Uranus, um, with Mercury rather. Yeah, not Uranus, with Mercury right here, right there together, both at 20 degrees. Yeah, and so in your fourth house of home and family, but this is your house of emotional needs, Aries. So the sun is trying to bring clarity to something. It is supporting you in your house. The sun is something, a very supportive, right? A very supportive energy, because it refers to our self-expression as well, right? And kind of what we can create for ourselves and being true and authentic to ourselves. The sun is life, essentially. So here we have the sun with Mercury in that fourth house of emotional needs, right? And the sun is ruling your fifth here. So the sun in here with Mercury, it can, kind of support whatever you are kind of what you want to create for yourself, because Mercury is your thoughts, right? That kind of supports your emotional needs. Could be thoughts about home and family, right? But the sun is about your talents and how you express yourself. As I was saying, the sun is ruling your fifth. So this can definitely be about your talents or how you want to shine or your self-expression, right? Definitely. The sun enters Leo into your fifth house on the 22nd, right? So when the sun enters Leo for you, Aries, it's going to be asking you that same question. What makes me happy? And potentially encouraging you to step into your talents, your creativity, or something that is unique about yourself, right? The sun in your fifth can make you feel more romantic and playful. You might want to be around children after, the sun enters Leo, or they may bear more significance in your life. And Aries, the full moon is in Aquarius. In Aquarius is on the 29th. I'll do a separate video on that, and that it will be taking place in your 11th house of the future. So that's going to be interesting for you. For sure it will, right? Yeah, and it can be maybe a very telling time as well. And thank you so much, Aries, for joining me here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. Make a comment. Yeah, that would be, that'd be great. So let's move forward to Taurus. If you want to get a reading with me, they're very deep, and they can be cathartic and healing, but they are very empowering. Yeah, and showing you things that you don't know about yourself. That is what a good astrologer can show you, which is very empowering, right? So let's go to Taurus, and I have you on the wheel here, Taurus. And I am going to reverse the wheel here. Not reverse, but um, yeah, I'm going to move back towards the third. Um, and all right, so here we have you. And right here we have um, Mars is conjoined with Uranus in your second house. This is what shows up kind of right there. The second house is very important to you. It's your house. It is kind of your house in the natural zodiac. Not kind of, it really is. But the second house is your house of values and well-being, your stability, also your possessions, the money you earn for yourself, right? Um, and it is also your material comfort, yes, right? Your finances and things like that, all right? The sun is in your third house of thinking, and so what I was saying, I have a whole separate video, Taurus, on Uranus, right? But right here, you are doing something that is helping to create more well-being for yourself or more money, okay? Yeah, don't want to leave that out. And the sun is in your third house of thinking, Taurus, and this is for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, okay? So, yeah, please be aware of that. Um, And the sun is in your third house of thinking. It's right here. And this is your house of plans and goals, your house of ideas, decisions, and choices. Also, willpower and skills. This could be your also a house of business because of that, right? And also, this is your house of siblings, extended family, whatever is familiar to you, what you do on a regular basis, kind of the same things. You drive a particular way because that has to do with the local or the familiar, right? And that is that house. And Mercury and so Mercury, the planet of intellect, is ruling your second house, right? So there's a lot of thoughts here for you with the sun moving into your third house right here. The sun is actually in your third house of thinking, right? Um, and Mercury is there. Mercury rules the second house here, and Mars is making a favorable trine to your 10th house. Remember, Mars wants something new. I think I already, explained that, but Mars is our courage and our drive and the desire to go after what motivates us, right? The desire and the courage. So we have Mars ruling, making a trine to a very supportive trine. And a trine is something that makes something that is kind of already there easier. We can also see this kite right here, which is it is actually more visible here as I have the wheel or the ascendant on your sign, Taurus. Yeah. But in the kite talks about, how we can fly, and thrive really, right? It does talk about that. Um, yeah. Yep. And what we need to do as well, because we have the opposition in every kite. We have the sextiles, which are opportunities for something good, and then we have the trines, which, it's something favorable, but usually not necessarily, but something that can already happen because that is supported or that can happen easily um, because it's something that is kind of already there. The trines are always in the same element, right? 90% of the time, not all the time. But here we have Aries and Leo here. This is a fire trine right here. And then we have another fire trine with Leo and Sagittarius. But the opposition is there, which is asking us to bring balance in a particular area of our life so we can fly, right? So we can thrive. Interesting about the kite because it does need balance, right? It needs balance, right? Otherwise, it won't fly. And I have a kite here at home, and it is a professional kite. And, I'm not a professional, I don't know, kite flyer. So, I don't know why they sold me that kite, right? It's a little hard to fly. I haven't really gotten it up yet either. I've only tried a couple times. All right, so Mars is making that favorable trine, Taurus, to your 10th house of career. That's beautiful. This is your house of to right here to Pluto, right? And to Juno. Juno is what we can, what we want that is related to commitment. Yes, usually love, right? There was an old movie about Juno, this girl. It's about 25 years old now. But here we have, Mars making the trine also to Pluto. This is major transformation and in your 10th house of career. So there, you could have maybe sometimes the trine, Pluto also means like not just transformation, it means power, but it means crises. So maybe something really bothered you here about your career or about the authority you have over your own life, Taurus. At Mars is helping you to kind of overcome or step into, right? It could be, right? The authority you hold over your own life is very important for sure it is, right? Because it gives us courage and the ambition to, to deal with that, right? Mars is ruling your seventh house of partnerships, any type of partnerships, business and clients, right here in Scorpio, which is also associated with transformation, right? The sign itself. And Mars is ruling that seventh house. This is your house of business and clients, one-on-ones, how you create harmony in your own life, right? Harmony and balance in your life. So, and the change can be related to that, of course. Mars is sextiling Neptune. Neptune's retrograde until the 12th of December, and this is in your 12th house right here in Aries with this sextile. The sextile is an opportunity for you, Taurus, to um, it can be to create something new because that's what Mars always wants, right? To create something new for yourself or to step into something, to transition into something even because it's making the sextile to Neptune. And Neptune is it's slow energy, but it's also retrograde. Neptune is about our hopes and our dreams, right? Neptune is about what we hope for, right? It can be confusion as well, but Mars is typically not confused. But Mars is in, it knows what it wants. Mars is in Gemini in the house, in the sign of thinking, making the sextile to Neptune, which is retrograde until the 12th of December, giving you plenty of time to kind of ponder what you want for yourself, to create for yourself. That has to do with your visions, right? It's in the 12th house. That is a house of visions. It is. It's also a house of endings and release. It's the house of spiritual growth and your intuition. So trust in your intuition. Definitely, that's what Neptune always wants you to do. Don't move into the lower expression, which is uncertainty, because Neptune is associated with a big ocean. Yeah. And there and without boundaries. So without boundaries, sometimes we can end up confused or just uncertain. But you have plenty of time to think about that. I feel like that's quite beautiful because it is in the sign of the self and in the sign of Aries rules motivation. Yeah, it does. So very cool. All right. So, and on the ninth, Venus enters Virgo. You might be more appreciative of people or partners who are more grounded and reliable, right? Venus is moving there. Venus is your natal, yeah, your natal ruler. And so, and relationships that grow over time. Virgo is concerned with health, um, and health and wellness and doing things right and refining things, right? Improving health, refining things. It's Virgo is also about work or any methods, kind of that processes that we use for to make things better, really. But Venus can support the healing arts in Virgo because Venus is concerned with well-being. There could be maybe you are concerned with kind of work that has to do with health, right? The healing arts, perhaps Reiki, yoga, or acupuncture. Or maybe you're just, maybe going to get an acupuncture appointment. I know I am. I have a Taurus moon. Yeah. Hmm. And Virgo is concerned with skill and precision, as I was saying. So you may be finding new ways of enjoying yourself as well when Venus moves into Virgo, right? On the ninth, right? Let's move the wheel here. All right. And here's, well, it wants to, it's not that hour of the day, I suppose. Here's Venus in Virgo, and Venus will be at 0 degrees, supporting the South Node. I think I talked about this in with the Capricorn full moon, kind of hit on this a little bit, but Venus will be supporting the South Node for you, for everybody. But for you, it's in your fifth house of self-expression. So you're leaving behind these kind of themes of lack or that have to do, or what limits you, that have to do with your creative expression or your talents. You're moving away from that, and your own natal planet is supporting you, is encouraging you to do that, Taurus, right? Yeah, think of how you shine. Don't think of, what is limiting you. Just don't let it happen, right? Yeah. We've all kind of fallen into that at one time or another, or at least, at least most of the people I have, read for, or, right? Most of the people I know as well, right? But, we evolve, right? And we move into a new cycle. There's always a new cycle, right? And that's really what astrology talks about, possibilities and cycles. Yeah, it does. So, and on the 14th, and you may be also moving into, better habits for yourself as well, right? You could be, because Virgo is concerned with habits. And so we have the new moon in Cancer is in your house of ideas, skills, and goals. That's going to be on the 14th. I'll do a separate video on that, but that is also the new moon in Cancer will be about nurturing yourself, right? It's going to be about nurturing your ideas and the way you think. So it's a very supportive because that new moon can support, and it's there with Mercury, right? The planet of thinking. That new moon, Taurus, for you can support the way you think, but also like your plans and your goals, but at the same time integrating uh, what protects you, what is nurturing for you, and what is really good for your emotional needs. Very good, right? The mind and the it's kind of like the divine masculine with the divine feminine. They can be united there when we have the new moon um, in Cancer, but with Mercury. Yes, Mercury is a masculine sign. It is, and rules our thoughts and things like that. All right, so. Um, yeah, I'll talk much more about that in that next video, and there's far more to talk about for you, Taurus. There sure is, right? Um, okay, so now we have the Sun entering Leo on this 22nd, Taurus entering into your house of emotional foundation. So there's a lot of concern there, right? Into your house of emotional foundation. We'll move the wheel to the 22nd. Right? Not, why not, right? Yeah, so you can see what's kind of going on here. And let's move the hour ahead so we can see the sun in Leo. Okay, so the sun is there. It's conjoined with Jupiter. I'll do a separate video on Jupiter and Leo because it's highly fascinating and how that can motivate you to grow and expand. Yes, it can with the sun and the sun in Leo and also Jupiter in Leo. Yes, wow. And so when the sun enters Leo into that house of home and family and your emotional needs, or where you call home, into romantic and self-expressive Leo, and also how you have fun and children and things like that, you're more likely to be more self-expressive and showing how you shine, Taurus, right? Yeah, your creative expression is highlighted in July. Also, romance for you, and the sun conjoins with. I was just saying that with it is already conjoined here on the 22nd. We can see it together. It makes a perfect conjunction on the 29th, both at I forget what degree. Uh, yeah, maybe it is mostly, it's probably at, I don't know, 4 or 5 degrees there with that perfect conjunction, but it's not terribly important. What is important that is that Jupiter and the Sun will be supporting one another. That is more key. If you have degrees, if you have, those degrees in Leo, I would even say you're maybe in your fourth house, but if you have, those planets at those degrees for you, it's going to be really important, right? So, for you, it definitely can be. Um, yeah. So, yes. And so you could be also focused on what is meaningful and enjoyable to you, right? When we have this, we have this conjunction already showing up here because that's really important, right? What is meaningful and enjoyable for you, for sure. Because whatever is meaningful and enjoyable, that does support our well-being. And Taurus is associated with well-being and stability. Sure, it is self-worth. And also the full moon is in Aquarius on the 29th. I'll do a separate video on that. And thank you so much, Taurus. If you've enjoyed my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and I'll be back with another video. If you want a reading with me, check out my website. It is in the description box. Lots of very cool readings. Yeah, I approach the chart from a very deep, the natal chart from a very deep, with a very deep approach, right? Showing you things that you don't know about yourself, which are very empowering. The chart shows far more than most people think, uh, right? When you are approaching it this particular way. There's a lot of things I'm not mentioning here because I don't have the time, right? So let's move on. Thank you so much, Taurus, for joining me. And we'll put the ascendant now on Gemini. All right, so Gemini, the sun is in Cancer in your second house of self-worth, well-being, possessions, and material comfort for most of the month until the sun enters Jupiter. And that's where I have it right here, Leo, rather. So let's move the day and we'll move this back here to the third. And I'm recording this on the second, so I don't know, this is why I kind of have it here on the third, the wheel, but nothing really, everything is kind of taking place after, I would say after the third. It doesn't, there's no game changer here on, doing these in the third, on the third, or, with the approach, or, talking about the third to begin with. But the sun is in Cancer in your second house of self-worth. We can see it here, Gemini. I have you on the ascendant. The sun is in that Cancer, nurturing your well-being. So, the sun in Cancer is good for you. It really is because the second house is your house of well-being, self-worth. The sun is about courage. It's about our unique self-expression. So the sun is life. It is shining on you there. Um, and it can also be about how you want to make more money for yourself. The second house is the money you earn for yourself. Um, Yes, and your material comfort. So there could be thoughts about that. There definitely could be. And possibly nurturing yourself in that area or home and family as well. And Mercury is in Cancer all month, emphasizing your thoughts, right? Yeah, your thoughts about these matters. And maybe perhaps, planning new goals, right? New goals because Mercury is associated with goals. And I was saying maybe to earn more money. Mercury is also ruling your fourth house. You could have ideas how to earn more money. And Mercury rules your fourth house as well. This is the fourth house where you nurture yourself, emotional needs, the fourth house of home and family. Um, and so, home and family could be very important to Gemini this month as well. I know I'm a Gemini rising, and I'm going to see my family, right? My grandchildren and my kids as well, toward the end of the month. Yeah, so very cool. And so on the third, and we have the wheel set on the third, we have Mars conjoined with Uranus in your sign. So I've talked about this before, but it's very important. It's at a perfect degree of 3 degrees. And yeah, especially important for you, Gemini. I have a whole video on Uranus, and I am talking about because Uranus is in Gemini for the next 7.5 years. So it's very important, right? But and this has change the way you are, change about your own motivation in life, change with how you think about things, change with changing your goals. It could be, but a big change for you personally, or independence, more innovation for you as well. You can check out the video on that. It is if I remember, I will definitely pin that at the top of the comments. But in the description box are all the videos, right? It's a highly fascinating video where Uranus, the name of the video is Uranus squares the nodes. I forget, but it is about Uranus. So check that out because it's very important, right? Especially in your sign. So we have, excuse me, Mercury's in Cancer all month. And we talked about that. Mercury was your fourth house. Um, and on the third, yeah, we're also, excuse me, Gemini, we're talking about Mars getting together with Uranus, the planet of change. Yeah. And Mars is also sextiling Jupiter in Leo, and we can see it right here. And here's the sextile. So there is an opportunity for you, Gemini, to grow and expand thoughts or goals, or right, or you're thinking about expanding something for yourself. You're thinking about something that is very meaningful. It is in the self-expression and creative sign of Leo. So definitely you are, doing that. And I will do a separate video on Jupiter in Leo because it will be there for 1 year. And in my opinion, Jupiter will really support Leo and will support all of us. All right. Sometimes Jupiter exaggerates, but it's not there to really exaggerate, not so much. It depends on the aspects and things, but mostly Jupiter will help us step into our talents, step into our own unique self-expression, to help us to expand our talents as well. Yeah, and help us to, do many, many things. So I'm going to be talking about that in that video, right? Especially depending on what house it is in for you. It's in your third house of thoughts. So, and so when Mars is making that sextile to Jupiter, your information, not your information, but your thinking is on creative ideas that bring change and innovation and more meaning and purpose to you. Mars is ruling your 11th house of the future, Gemini. This is the house of hopes and wishes. Yeah. And it's right here where Mars is ruling, right? Aries, Mars rules this sixth house for you as well. So Mars is ruling this 11th house of future aspirations, innovation. It's also the house of friends and social connections. And Mars is ruling your sixth house of work, health and wellness, daily habits and routines. So, Mars also, this is in Scorpio, right? Mars rules Scorpio for you. there could be a change here as you are thinking of these new goals and, what's on your mind here. You have new aspirations that you may be stepping into. Mars wants to do it. Mars has the drive and the courage, the planet of, it's the will to act. And so here we have Mars making the sextile to Neptune. Yeah. And we talked about Mars ruling that 11th house of, and so, you have something that you are doing here, a new goal or something you want to do, Gemini, that will be, you will be, maybe you're refining it because Mars rules your sixth house of refinement. Yeah, and improvement. Yes, it does. And problem solving as well. Jupiter is ruling your 10th. Mars makes the sextile to Jupiter, and we can see it right here with the green line, right? So interesting, that's good because green represents money and also abundance, right? Of course, we can't just say money, but there's an opportunity here for you where we have Mars, making the sextile to Jupiter. If you step into it, with Mars will likely have you doing that, Gemini, right? With your courage, but that's an opportunity. Um, and so Mars is sextiling, Jupiter there. Jupiter's ruling your 10th house of career. And Mars also makes a square to the North Node. And so the North Node, excuse me, is your higher potential. In Pisces, asking you to trust and make some type of an adjustment. Trust in yourself and move into, your higher purpose. That's what this is also squaring the South Node here. I talk about this in the Uranus, excuse me, the Uranus video that I've done just recently. But that square here also is you're moving away, asking you to move away from anything that is not supporting your emotional needs here or your emotional security, right? Your foundation, and move toward your higher purpose. Because the South Node is talking about some type of lack or what limits you, or just something from the past that is so familiar you can't grow, right? So Mars definitely wants growth because Mars is like, yeah, I'm doing this, right? And, the sextile to Jupiter will help you grow and expand. It definitely will. All right. And Venus enters discerning Virgo, right, into your fourth house of emotional needs. Where's little old Venus here? And that will be on the ninth. So let's move. That is my son's birthday. Yes, and it'll be good for him. Here's Venus, and we'll move ahead with the hours because it's still showing up in Virgo. Is that the ninth? It is. There it is. All right, so this is showing 11 a.m. here on the West Coast, and that will be about, I don't know, 8 p.m. 7 p.m. Universal Time. So I'm not sure what time that is in wherever you're at, right? But Venus will be supporting that. Venus is saying, hey, we want balance and harmony. We want stability, maybe material comfort, right? Financial gain, even where Venus is. We want relationships to be better, right? And so it is here supporting this at a perfect, perfect a conjunction at 0 degrees on the ninth when it enters here with the South Node. So Venus is a benefic, and the South Node is it's not considered a malefic, but it's not anything good. No, we have to move away from it. It limits us. It can be past wounds as well, even past lives. Yeah, yeah, you're probably saying, "Wow," but yeah. Um, if you ever want a past life reading, they are healing. Yeah, they are, and empowering. So yeah, and so we have that here with Venus moving into your fourth house of emotional needs. And Venus here, and so putting the focus on your well-being and also trying to create something peaceful, possibly a peaceful living space for you or a peaceful home. That could be the case there, right? When Venus moves into Virgo, you might be more interested in nature or plants. Could be, right? And maybe plants that, purify and help bring well-being to you because they can, right? Virgo is associated with health as well. Excuse me, guys, I'm just getting some water here. Virgo is associated with health and purification. Um, yeah, you could be wanting a little bit more simplicity, decorating the home. Maybe you want to be home, more a little bit to kind of bring yourself into a more peaceful place. Venus and Virgo can help declutter and organize or beautify the home as well, right? Venus is about the beauty, right? You might want more quiet at home because um, you could, because yeah, you might want more quiet at home that supports your well-being, as I've been saying, or healthier family routines. Virgo is about routines, and Cancer, the fourth house, is about home and family, right? The sun will be conjoined with your natal Mercury in nurturing Cancer from the 12th, from December the tw from excuse me, from the 12th of um, July. Let's move we're on the hour again, so let's move to the 12th, and here it is. So the sun is conjunct with your natal Mercury, and this is bringing you ideas that support your well-being. So there's a lot about that, your self-esteem, your money, more money for you, Gemini, can be, or how you value yourself, right? The sun and Mercury in Cancer, right, in the second house. I will have the new moon in Cancer on the 14th. I'll do a separate video on that. That will be very important because the new moon is in your house of well-being and money. So that will be important. And on the 29th, I will do a separate video on for the full moon in Aquarius, right? And the sun conjunct with Jupiter, right? And that is, more toward the end of the month. Let's move this here. And here we already have it. We have it here really because we can, the sun can be in a wide orb with Jupiter, in my opinion. But here we have it's moving closer. And uh, on the 23rd, I believe, we move in. It's the perfect conjunction, I beg your pardon, on the 6th, which is July 29th. But we have a conjunction, you guys. We already have that around the 19th, really, the 20th, maybe until the 29th. We still have the conjunction after that, but the sun will move away from that, conjunction. But the sun supporting Jupiter in your third house, Gemini, it's a beautiful thing, supporting all your creative ideas. I'm going to have a separate video on Jupiter entering Leo as it is. So very beautiful. Yeah, that is definitely going to be supporting you there. So thank you so much, Gemini, for joining me here. And that's going to be supporting your higher purpose and your expansion, the expansion of yourself, your ideas, your plans, and your goals with Jupiter in Leo in your third house. As I said, I'm going to talk about that. There's far more to talk about with that. If you've enjoyed my content here, Gemini, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. I'll be back with another video. And yeah, if you want a reading with me, check out the description box below. My readings are very deep and they talk about a lot of things that some astrologers may not address. Yeah, and they're very empowering, and I will share things with you that you really don't know about yourself, which is empowering, right? It always is, right? So your soul gifts are there, and your lessons that we're all supposed to learn. I don't really want to call them karmic lessons, but we're all here to learn soul lessons. Yeah. Remember, the sun is about your soul's mission or the chart, your natal chart. So let me move on now, and I'm going to move on to Cancer. So thank you so much, Gemini, for joining me here. And yes. Hi, Cancer. So this is going to be for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, or Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, right? So Cancer, I have you here on the Ascendant, and the Sun is in your sign for most of the month, right? In essence, the Sun is shining on you, right? It's always a favorable time, right? So the Sun can bring you clarity in some cases, and highlight certain areas of your life that you are focused on. And it can help you focus on your own talents, right? Your own, or what you're good at, or what's very important to your self-expression. And so, yeah, and so it is lighting up. That's what the sun is doing there for you. We have Neptune. It's going retrograde, and Neptune is in your 10th house of career. It's going retrograde until December the 12th. Neptune is and we have this square here from the sun in your sign. Neptune is, really kind of talking about your hopes and your dreams, your visions. And is what you kind of really what you believe in as well. Neptune wants you to, trust in your intuition. But Neptune is, it's ruled by Pisces in the zodiac, and it is the big ocean. It can create uncertainty and confusion because there's a lack of boundaries all the time with Pisces because of the ocean. That's kind of how I'm seeing that. Boundaryless, right? But the sun making that square to Neptune, you could be, kind of debunking or this can encourage you to kind of debunk these long-held beliefs about yourself, about your own autonomy or agency over your own life, like how much power you really have, or how much, how you can move into your own authority, right? Now it's there and it's also squaring Saturn. Saturn is the authority that you want to create for yourself, right? Your career, your long-term goals and things like that. And it's in the sign of the self. So this is, that square could be actually helping you to kind of really, gain clarity on something. It can't help you to release these long-held beliefs that they're not even true because Venus, not Venus, but Neptune is associated with illusions and things that are uncertain and, these doubts and fears that they have no place or they have no real solidity or real truth, right? So that's where Neptune can kind of deceive us in a way. Yeah. So you have plenty of time to think about that. And Neptune also wants you to dissolve something. Yeah, some like long-held belief, Capricorn, all right? Um, and you could be questioning your career path here as well. Saturn's right there in your 10th house, right? Um, you have a long time to think about that, all right? Maybe you want to move into something. It can be a time of self-discovery for yourself. Neptune can highlight self-discovery. It sure can, because it also represents spiritual growth and your faith. So maybe your faith will grow as well, all right? You might want to move into, in your career, a path of healing. Neptune's associated with healing, compassion, helping other people. It can be something creative as well. Neptune's very creative. Yeah, and so now we have Venus. Venus enters Virgo, and Venus is entering your third house of thinking. And let's move it. And it enters on the 9th. So my son's birthday is today. So if you're listening, that you're probably not listening on your birthday, but happy birthday, honey, of course, right? And so here we have the sun. I don't know, a very nice day here, moving into Virgo. Virgo wants you to refine things. It wants you to improve. It wants you to be practical about things, organize and declutter possibly your thoughts. And Venus is there coming from a place of I'd like to earn more money or bring well-being to my life. I want my relationships to improve, my whole overall well-being. And it is there with the South Node Cancer. So that right there, Venus will help you improve your communication as well. But the South Node is the limit and what limits us. The past, the familiar known, that can limit us, right? We need new possibilities and places to go and growth and expansion. And Venus is there in this conjunction, which is very important in discerning Virgo, right? Virgo is also concerned with health, and Venus is as well because well-being, which is more mental health, but still we have it there. So you're going to be asked when the Venus conjoins with the South Node. It will actually be at a perfect conjunction, but it's going to be in a conjunction with Leo, not with Leo, but sorry, in Leo, with the South Node. And, Venus is in self-expressive Leo, creative. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. Creative and self-expressive Leo. Um, and so, yeah, and so Venus is there, and Venus is like supporting that, right? And supporting your communication as you communicate with romantic people, anybody really in Virgo, right? Also your plans and your goals. This can be like, I'm kind of protecting, kind of. Venus has a protective, sort of, but it is a benefic, right? Providing benefits for you, and Venus will help you. like improve the communication in your relationships, Cancer, but also it's going to help you leave behind old beliefs about yourself. Yeah, old beliefs. Uh, yeah, old beliefs, maybe an old perspective in romance and things like that. So that's really great for you. All right. Can help you improve your health as well. And let's see what else I might have for you. And Venus is ruling your house of emotional needs. Look right here. So whatever, when, we have this conjunction, which is, really from I don't know, the second of, yeah, from around the 3rd of July, and it is going to be there for a good while, right? So it's going to be there until about, it's a long time here. Yeah, okay, so we're going to say until about the 17th. But the point is, Venus is supporting that, right? Venus rules your house of emotional needs. Really important, your emotional needs, especially for you, Cancer, your home and family, balance in your life. But this is about the past. This is about releasing these old values of yourself that have to do with the past. All right. So good for you. And then we also have the new moon in your sign, and that is the new moon in your sign. When the sun enters Leo on the 22nd, this is going to be bringing themes of well-being, financial stability to the surface, both. And the sun will enhance your well-being, Cancer. It's a good time for you. I feel like it really is. The new moon is in your sign on the 14th. So, that's going to be about something new for yourself, right? Something that motivates you. It could be a seed you're planting, can be a transition you're moving into, but it will support you big time, the new moon. And I'll do a separate video on that. That will be, happy birthday as well. And then we have the sun conjoined with Jupiter a little bit later, later in the month after the new moon. And that is going to be a really good thing. It's already conjunct right here on the 17th. We see it, the sun and Jupiter, and Jupiter, the sun moves into Jupiter on the 22nd. But the sun here is in your sign, supporting you and your your self-expression. When it conjoins, merges into a more perfect conjunction or enters Leo, this is going to be a time for the next year. It can be with Jupiter in that house. I'll do a separate video for you, but Jupiter in the expressive, the authentic, and the creative sign of Leo, the romantic sign, the talent, right? It's a sign of talents and being who you are, being true to yourself. Jupiter will be there to, support your growth and expansion there, and will show you quite a bit of business, or will express or show you quite a bit of wisdom, or provide that wisdom for you. This is beautiful for you in your second house of well-being and your second house of money. I'll talk more about that later. And then we have the full moon in the other video, right? In my next video about Jupiter in Leo, right? Through all the 12 signs and the 12 houses, of course, the 12 houses rather. But we have at the end of the month, we have the full moon in Aquarius, Cancer, and that is going to be happening in your eighth house of transformation. Full moons can bring endings. So, and Pluto is there. OMG. So, the Aquarius full moon will be very important for you. So, I'll be back with another video. Thank you so much for joining me here, Cancer. If you've enjoyed my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. Yeah, and you'll be notified of my next upload. Make a comment, right? That'd be really helpful. I really appreciate those comments. And if you want a reading with me, check out the description box below. So for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and let's move forward here. And yeah, and so Leo, Jupiter is in your sign. And so yeah, and so we start, let's move the clock back here, or the time. So we're starting here. I want to start on the 3rd, and Jupiter is at 0 degrees in your sign since June 30th, all right, just a few days ago. And Jupiter in your sign is just a beautiful thing, Leo, because they're both fire energies, right? And you are the creative, kind of the self-expressive. I want to be authentic. I want to step into my talents, right? I want to create. I want to shine. I want to entertain, possibly. But Leo, there you are, and now Jupiter's there to expand all that. So that I'll do a separate video on that. And we'll talk about the aspects as well, right? Because Pluto's also in your seventh house of relationships. So we'll talk more about that in the next video. That's what we start the month really, right, with that, right? And then we have Jupiter making a trine to Neptune, and Neptune is retrograde in Aries, and so Aries is in your ninth. Aries rules, or Mars, right, where Aries is, rules your ninth house of growth and expansion. So we can see that that trine is quite beautiful here. And here it is. So. And Neptune is about our hopes and dreams, especially when we have a trine. When we have a square, it can be kind of talk about, what we are kind of doubting and fearing and uncertainty and things like that, or kind of being overly hopeful and overly idealistic or even naive about our dreams. But we have a trine there. So it's making it easy for you to kind of trust in your dreams as they relate to your growth and expansion because it's in the ninth house, beautiful, ruled by another fire sign and is ruled by Aries, which is Mars ruled. So this trine right away, Leo, is really helping you. And Mars is ruling your fifth, excuse me, your fourth house of emotional needs. So this growth and expansion will support either home and family or your relationship with home and family or your emotional needs, right? Your emotional foundation. And Mars is, yeah, ruling this ninth house of growth and expansion. So good for you, all right? Yeah, and yeah, okay. So now we have your natal sun. It's in Cancer, right now. It's in your 12th house. And they say that when the sun is in the 12th house, the astrologers, right, say that when the sun is in the 12th house, sometimes this is not so great because the sun is so far away from you, right? So when the sun is far away from you, there's less warmth, right? There's less heat. And whatever else, the sun is, it may be less courage, but it's just, it's a little dark, basically, with the sun 12 houses away or 12 signs away, right? So, but for you, the sun is helping you release something. And we already know something is going to transform because we have Jupiter here opposing Pluto over here, all right? Yeah, we do. So something's going to happen here that is supporting your growth and your expansion, all right? Especially when Jupiter is in your first house. It's the best place it can be, right? So, but the sun, you're here, and the sun is making a square to this Saturn. And this is in your ninth house of growth and expansion. It's asking you to leave something behind that's no longer authentic for you. In other words, you're not vibing with it, or it's not true to you who you are. Maybe you're doing something, you were doing something, or now you want to change, right? Yeah, because maybe you want to do that. Um, so, when we see that, we can say that. Uh, yeah, and Jupiter is squaring Chiron in your 10th house of career. So, but when we see that square there, and to a Saturn rules our career. It rules our authority and our agency over our own life and our life path and things like that. It's in your ninth house of growth and expansion and wisdom. It's asking you to release something that is no longer good for your self-expression or true to who you are, all right? And that will help Jupiter support you. Yeah, definitely will, right? We have to release sometimes, release something, all right? Um, yeah, and so let's see what else I have here for you. Yeah, and I talked about Jupiter's making a square to Chiron in that house of career. This is also asking you to make an adjustment here and kind of, let something go or overcome something or move beyond some type of sensitivity that is like affecting your career or your own authority, right, over your life. So, yeah, it's asking you to, Jupiter's going to help you do that with the square because it will kind of put a little bit of pressure there. Hey, if you want to grow and expand or, right? Yeah, so sorry about this, but somebody keeps calling me and it keeps switching on the computer. Yeah, it's annoying. Okay, so here we are, and yeah, and that square is to is to grounded Taurus, and Taurus represents your money, it represents your well-being, and so it's asking you to rise above, and maybe a past wound, it can be too. But there could be something, maybe you or Chiron sometimes mean the wound that we use to sabotage ourselves. It can be very subtle, right? It's a possibility when we do these things, right? But it can be something physical. Taurus is concerned with self-worth, as I was saying. I think so. So yeah, you could be, maybe it is a limited perspective of money. Maybe you think you are not really, highly deserving of money. You are, right? We're all deserve well-being and stability. Now, do we all deserve $1 million, $3 million? Well, I don't think that that's something that the universe is trying to bring us. And why do I say that? Because the universe is bringing us what we need. Yeah, the lessons that we need to live our true potential and to fulfill ourselves, right? A lot of people with money who are not fulfilled. Trust me, they live down in Hollywood, right? Yeah, they do. Some of them live there. Okay, Venus is in your sign to support you, and on the 9th, it will enter Virgo into your house of well-being, resources, material comfort. This is your house of self-worth as well, your possessions, and what you value or your values, right? And Venus is going to move in there. We'll move this ahead to the 9th when Venus makes that transit. And here we see Venus in Virgo in that seventh house. All right. Virgo wants you to refine something. It could be how you show up in relationships, Leo. It's because, Leo, Venus is about relationships as well. It can be how you create harmony in your own life. And here it is with the South Node. So, and with, discerning Virgo, Virgo wants to improve everything. It can't have to do with your health. It has to do with your well-being, right? It just can have to do with a lot of different things, but and it can have to do with your money. And Virgo wants you to be practical. And sometimes this whole South Node thing is something about the past we're worried about, or we've inherited even, yeah, inherited these values because, if our great grandparents valued something or they kind of, they had this particular perspective and this kind of belief, we can also inherit that. Yeah, and I've seen that. I know might sound crazy to some people, but that's what past life readings can help you release, right? I also do those in case you would like one of those. Yeah. And so Virgo, yeah, it's entering into Virgo, right? And so Venus being there, being ruled by Mercury, Mercury is actually in your 12th house of release. So you know that you need to release something here. Yeah, you know that because here is the South Node in Mercury ruled Virgo. Yeah, and Mercury's ruling your 11th house of the future. So you know something needs to go, or you need to grow spiritually. That could be the case. The Mercury's in the 12th house of spiritual growth. It's in nurturing Cancer. This it definitely has to do with your emotional needs or your harmony and your balance here in your life. And Mercury's ruling your 11th house of future aspirations. So yeah, there's a theme going on here for sure. But everything's helping you, Leo. It is supporting you. Even the squares support us because they tell us where we need to make adjustments in our life to improve our life. That's what astrology is about. It's to help us. It definitely is. All right. Um, And we have Mars, right? And here's Mars showing up here in your 11th house of future aspirations. So that's really what you're kind of thinking about right now, right? You're motivated about the future and change. Here is Uranus, right? Mercury is sextiling, not Virgo, but sextiling, what is it? Jupiter right here. Um, and it's showing up here. We have this line here that brings it, here. And Mars is doing the actual sextiling, right? Mars is at 7 degrees, which is the analytical degree. Jupiter's at 2 degrees here, which can be about a choice, right? This is definitely about the future and what you are willing to like do to create your future, right? With Mars making the sextile to Jupiter in your first house, Leo. So this is you want to do something here that helps you grow and expand, or you want to expand something maybe that you're already doing. That could be the case. But there's some change involved there because definitely because we have Uranus right there, right? Or innovation, right? Improvement, right? Very interesting there, right? And Jupiter is ruling your fifth house of love and sex. This is the fifth house of how you express yourself, your self-expression, your unique self-identity, and your creative expression as well. This is the fifth house of happiness and joy and the heart and everything that you create, even children. All right. So Jupiter is ruling this fifth house. It's also ruling your eighth house of transformation. So when Jupiter enters your house, your first house, it's already there, sorry, as of the 30th of June, there's something that's changing fundamentally about you, and it is for the better. It is for your growth and expansion and your higher purpose. And it's something that is meaningful. Yeah, it definitely is. All right. Um, yeah, and so, let's see what else I have. Also, the 11th house where Mars is sextiling. This is an opportunity for you. You have to step into it. It's like a social where you have to engage, where Mars is making the sextile to Jupiter. Excuse me. It is, um, God, what was I going to say there? Jupiter, what was I forgot what I was going to say here. Oh, this is also your house of social media and, connecting with the big web and things like that. That's the house of fame as well. So, I'm not saying that you necessarily want to be famous, although Leo, quite a bit of Leo entertainers. Leo definitely needs an audience. It needs to shine. It needs to be seen, just like the sun. But it doesn't necessarily have to be, like major star or anything like that. It just depends. And, Mercury is ruling this 11th house, and Mercury's ruling your second house of well-being, where Venus has entered. All right. So let's see what else I have for you here. And Mars is your courage. Remember that. So there's an opportunity for, yeah, to boost. It could be to boost your gains, though, your financial gains. That's a possibility here. Jupiter is ruling a house of money here. This eighth house is also money. Mercury's in that house. Mercury is ruling your 11th of the future, where Mars is making that sextile to Jupiter. Um, and Mercury rules your second house. This is also another house of money. So there's a potential here for gains, for financial gains, and you might be moving on that, right? You might be motivated to do that as well. All right. Um, And we have the new moon in Cancer on the 14th. And so I'll do a separate video on that. And that again will be in your 12th house, so about release and endings, but also spiritual growth, right? When the moon is in the 12th house, right? That can definitely be, and the sun as well. It can be spiritual growth for yourself, right? The sun is yourself, self-expression. The moon is your emotional needs, and things like that, all right? And the mind-body complex as well. So when we have the new moon in the 12th house, there's definitely something you'll either be releasing, but there can be a lot of spiritual growth, all right? With the new moon, all right? And so it's going to depend on your own chart too. Yeah, it definitely will. And I'm not able to see that at this time, right? And then I'll do a separate video on that new moon in Cancer. We have the sun, and that is, I think I was talking about that conjoined with Jupiter on the 29th in a perfect conjunction. It's going to be in a conjunction from about, I don't know, about the 13th or so, the sun and Jupiter. It's moving closer to Jupiter as we move here from, is it on the day? Yeah. And so here's the sun already in a kind of, yeah, it's in a conjunction here. It's a little bit of a loose conjunction, but we have it moving closer to Jupiter here, and that will really support you. That's your natal sun in your first house. How beautiful is that? On the 29th, they make a perfect conjunction. So you're really going to be able to see what makes you grow and expand, what is enthusiastic or what enthuses you, right? What's meaningful, what matters to you as Jupiter um, conjoins with the sun, right? It'll be in a perfect conjunction, I believe, with both at 3 degrees of, um, maybe it's not three here. Could be five. Let's see. Where is the sun here? Well, the sun is at three. Oh, I'm sorry, the perfect conjunction is on the 29th. Yeah, the last day of the month, or the couple of days before the end of the month. Here it is. They're both at 6 degrees. Six is a recognition. Yes, in the tarot and in numerology, it represents recognizing something. Yeah, it does. So, um, very beautiful, right? You may really recognize something with that. The full moon in Aquarius is then, that's your opposite sign on the same day, it's the 29th. I'll do a reading on that, and that will be really important because the full moon will have the sun right here, And we can see it right here, right? We see the full moon right here, and I think it grows with the hour. It might grow a little closer, but here we have the moon in Aquarius, and then we have the sun in your sign. And that I'll do a video on that. But whenever we have the full moon, it's a realization of something. We're recognizing something, that something is either ending or something's culminating for us. Yeah, and the full moon can be very powerful. It can be something that has grown from the Aquarius new moon, which was about 6 months ago. All right. So yeah, so thank you so much, Leo, for joining me here today. If you've enjoyed my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, you'll be notified of my next reading. And if you would like a reading with me, check out the description box below. And I will see you in. Hi, Virgo. So this is for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And Virgo, the Sun is in Cancer in your 11th house of future aspirations. So whenever the sun is there, this is what we are focused on, right? This is, potentially what we're thinking about. And the sun is about ourselves, really. It can be about our self-expression. So it's in the house of the future aspirations, friends, and social connections. This is the house of hopes and wishes, yeah, and gains. Like, what am I hoping for the future, right? So definitely your mind is there. Um, and your 11th house of the future is ruled by the moon. And on the third, I have this set up here. Today I'm doing this video for the horoscopes on the second, but I have this set up for the third. You're here on the ascendant. The moon is actually in a future-oriented Aquarius, so I find that to be a little interesting there, right? The moon is ruling, though, it's in this house. Um, yeah, and so the moon is actually, the sun is actually ruled by the moon while it's in Cancer. It sure is, all right? But the moon is in your sixth house of future, not the future, but it's future oriented Aquarius. That's what I was trying to say. So there's a lot of themes here about the future for you, right? This is in your house though of daily habits, routines, your lifestyle, right? Your health and your wellness and your work. So this is the house that makes your life work, that function, right? What you do, your lifestyle, day in and day out. All right. So and so you could be, it's possible here you are thinking about like a new lifestyle. That's a possibility here, or new habits, new routines. That could be the case there, right? And Saturn is ruling this sixth house for you, Virgo. So, Saturn here is right now in Aries in your eighth house of transformation. So this is what I mean. Pluto's actually in your sixth house of your lifestyle and work. Something very functional for you can really change here. And I think I mentioned this in the last reading. I may have, right? With the full moon in Capricorn, right? And so this Saturn that's probably why, because Saturn is rules Capricorn, right? Capricorn right here in your fifth house, and Saturn rules Aquarius, right? So there is some connection here, either that has a lot to do with your self-expression, possibly your career here that you want to change. It's a possibility with Saturn in that eighth house of transformation and ruling your sixth house of lifestyle, right? And Saturn is in your eighth house, and this is the house of intimate relationships. It's also, any close relationship, the money you make with other people, the money, right? Other people's money. It's the money you kind of earn as with somebody else as opposed to yourself, which is the second house, the opposite sign house of the eighth. It is in Aries, which is about the self. Yeah. So there's something here about your self-expression that is like that you're kind of, or what you want to create for yourself that is very important and key to you right now, Virgo. All right. And also, Saturn is ruling your fifth house. It's in this eighth house of transformation. It's ruling this fifth house of your self-expression, your talents, love and sex, and everything you want to create, but also how you enjoy your life. Yeah, and how you are authentic in your own life, like, kind of living the life that is true to you, so to speak. So there's something going on there as well. That is your house of authenticity. It sure is. All right. Maybe you feel like you want to feel more fulfilled. Your ruling natal Mercury is, let's see where Mercury is here, Virgo. It's in your 11th house with Cancer. Yes, it is. I know that. It's just that I've been going video by video here. And here's Mercury in Cancer all month. And yeah, and Mercury, you are definitely thinking about your future. You sure are. All right. That probably showed up in the other video as well, as I've been saying, right? Um, yeah, Mercury's ruling your 10th house of career, but this is your house, a house of authority over your own life, what you really want for the long term, your status, and your roles, right? Your status of, maybe I don't want this, right? And the full moon was likely having you question, maybe are my emotional needs being met? Because Saturn was the ruler of the full moon. And it is in your eighth house of transformation, right? Ruling your house of enjoyment here, or if you are authentic to yourself. So, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, that's kind of what you're doing. Mercury's ruling that 10th house of career. So, and you're thinking about your future as Mercury is in your 11th house. So, Mercury is ruling your first house as well, where you've been kind of purging something for the past year and a half, almost 18 months now. Next year, the nodes will move into Leo and out of your sign, which can be a little bit relieving for you. It can be, but this does help us purge things from the past that don't help us grow or kind of move into our high potential, yeah, our highest potential, our true potential, right? Yeah, and so um, let's see what else I have here for you, Virgo. Um, yeah, and Venus is the ruler of love and beauty and money, right? And self-worth, well-being, and the well-being also that we create for ourselves, but the well-being and the harmony that we have with other people, and that is, where Libra rules, but Venus rules into right here. Venus rules your second house of well-being and your ninth house of growth and expansion, and Venus will move into your sign on July 9th. Yes, it's right here. So, in your first house, I beg your pardon, supporting you, your relationships, supporting your own well-being in your first house of self, supporting your money, supporting, your well-being and your harmony that you create in your own life. All right. Venus can, boost your self-esteem there, right? And Venus is helping you here purge, as I was saying with the South Node, like leave things behind that no longer like serve you, right? Yeah, for sure. And so Venus, as I said, is ruling your second house of well-being, your ninth house of growth. So it's important for you, and it will definitely be a benefit for you when Venus is there. All right. And Mercury is retrograde. I don't know if I mentioned that. It is retrograde until the 23rd of the month. Yeah, yeah, and Mercury is definitely asking you a question about what you want for the future there. And Neptune, yeah, let's see what Neptune's doing for you. Neptune is in Aries in this house of transformation. And Neptune is actually making a trine to Jupiter, right? So, that trine, Jupiter is in Leo, and this is your 12th house of surrender and release. Like, give it up. It's not helping anymore. Some astrologers will call it endings and release or, things like that. Jupiter is there, and it is making a trine to Neptune in your house of transformation. And so that right there is, helping you release something that no longer serves you, right? And it is in the sign of Leo, which is anything from the heart. If there's something not serving your heart and how you enjoy yourself or about you being true to yourself, you're going to be releasing it because, we talked already a little bit about that with Venus and, this kind of similar theme here. You're thinking about your future here as well, right? But Jupiter is helping you do that. Yeah, it definitely is. So you can grow and expand and have more meaning in your life. Now it's making that trine to Neptune. Neptune is going retrograde until December the 12th. So you might be kind of thinking about that, um, right? You could definitely be thinking about that, especially as the sun is in your house of the future and your natal Mercury, which is thinking about your future. You could be in this reflection. Neptune is reflection. Neptune can be meditation. It can be about going within, right? It's about spiritual growth. It's also about what we hope for in terms of our dreams and our visions, right? And so but it's also illusions, things that are not really true, right? About ourselves or about, just about anything can be, or fears and doubts, those type of illusions. And here we have, it's also about faith. So we have Jupiter making that trine, making it easier for you to, you could be in reflection until December. I mean, you might be, right? And so about how you can create more meaning in your life and what needs to be released in order to do that, all right? So Mars is ruling for you, Virgo. Mars is ruling your eighth house of transformation, where Neptune sits, and Mars also rules your third house of thinking. So you're definitely thinking about the change, transformation, right? It's also your third house is in Scorpio, which has a lot to do with transformation, intimate relationships, money, deep psychological themes, things that have been hidden from us or that we just didn't understand about ourselves, these kind of deep themes, right? Psychological themes. Jupiter, it's yourself. Jupiter is ruling your seventh house of relationships, where it makes an inconjunct to the south node, the north node rather, the north node of destiny and true potential or higher destiny. So here we have the north node in Pisces ruled by Jupiter. So it's kind of, the quincunx is asking you to make a change about something. It sure is, right? Um, it is. And so in order for you to fulfill your true potential and to fulfill your dreams and your wishes, it's in idealistic Pisces. Pisces is about our dreams, and right, it is the newer or the modern ruler rather of Neptune, right? Where we saw that. So Jupiter is making a an opposition to your sixth house of your lifestyle, your health, your work, everything you do every day. You might want to a whole new lifestyle, as I said earlier. But that is, you know, from to your sixth house. This is also your house of health and wellness. And Jupiter is in your mental health house or your emotional health, however you want to put it, right? What kind of creates well-being or what doesn't for us, right? But these are both house of obstacles, and Pluto has to do with crises as well. So there's something here that you want to kind of put down and move away from. For sure you do. All right, Virgo. Yeah. And so let's see what else I might have here. Um, yeah, let's see what else I have for you. Um, Definitely has to do with the long term, right? Yeah. And we'll have the new moon for you, Virgo, in on or around or before the 14th. The new moon will be in Cancer. The new moon is in your 11th house of the future. So there we go. Once more, right? I'll talk of course I will have a separate video on that. We have the full moon in Aquarius at the end of the month, and that will be very important because Aquarius is future oriented, and Aquarius rules your house of your lifestyle, right? What you want for yourself, these habits, routines, and everything that you do every day, the lifestyle that you choose, really, right? Now, the sun will move into Leo on the 22nd, so that will be moving into your 12th house of release. So there's probably a lot that you're releasing, as I was saying early on. But it looks good. It definitely does, especially with, Jupiter supporting all of us. It really is. But I will definitely have a separate video on Jupiter. You'll want to see that, yeah, because Jupiter is going to expand our talents, and it's also going to expand. It's what it's going to do is for you, Virgo. It's going to show you all that has been hidden from you because it will be in Leo in the sign of self-expression, and what you want to create for yourself and your talents and self-identity and who am I really, right? And am I enjoying my life? That is Leo, right? Am I true to myself? And so Jupiter will be in your 12th house of endings and release and spiritual growth. So that's a hidden house. So, very interesting there. So you're going to be learning a lot, I would say, and Jupiter is about learning as well, so we can expand. So you're going to be learning a lot, and I'll be talking about that in that video. Thanks so much, Virgo, for joining me here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed my video. I'm now outside feeling much better doing this. I was inside for the other 5 signs and just kind of going bonkers in there, right? Yeah, thank you so much. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box below. My readings are They are very unique, and they're they can really help you, empower you. And healing, they can provide healing, overcoming, empowering, and show you things about yourself that, you really don't know, right? We do have three hidden houses. We have the eighth, the 12th, and the fourth. These are all hidden houses where we don't understand, as we evolve, we can grow to understand ourselves more. So, yeah, so that reading can show you that. Thanks so much, Virgo, for joining me here. I'm going to move on now to Libra. And let's put Libra on the ascendant. All right, Libra. So let's get right into it here. And the sun is in nurturing Cancer in your 10th house of career. So when the sun can sometimes bring clarity, but the sun can have us focus on what makes us happy because it supports it rules the fifth house of self-expression, enjoying our life, fun, what entertains us, kind of, right? But it can, and also how true you are to yourself, the fifth house. Now, it's in your house of authority over yourself, which has to do with being true to yourself as well. And so the sun is in that. So you could be nurturing maybe your ideas here or yourself, maybe about your career, or asking your question. Maybe you're asking a question because it's in that 10th house, which is ruled by the moon for you, but that 10th house is about career and authority that we wield over our own life, right? The status that we have achieved so far, or but we just had the Capricorn full moon, which you can see that video if you would like. I have fixed the timestamps on there so you can really find out where you're at with the chapters, to move ahead and find your sign. But this 10th house of, excuse me, that 10th house of career is important to you, or your status or your role here, right? When we talk about status, we can talk about marriage and divorce. We can talk about retirement. It can mean, you have your PhD now or your master's, and you've been waiting a long time to do that. And so this is a new status for you, right? Having a child is a status, right? So there's all kinds of status changes there, but that's what the full moon is talking about. So you might be thinking about something that is related to your status, right? And yeah, the sun will conjoin with Mercury, the planet of thinking. And let's look at that here. Where is the sun? Yeah, it's already in a conjunction here. It is, right? So we have the sun at 17 degrees and Mercury at 22. The sun rules your 11th house of the future. It's being ruled right now by Cancer, or the moon really, but here we have Mercury, and they are in this conjunction. So here Mercury's helping you think about everything I just talked about. Yes, it is. Um, and Mercury is ruling your ninth house of, yeah, your ninth house of growth and expansion. So whatever it is that you is on your mind about the future, or about your career, your authority, your status, or whatever, long-term goals too is the 10th. It is connected to, am I growing? Am I expanding? Or is this meaningful to me? Does this really matter to me? Or yeah, is it purpose, right? You could be really kind of feel, in your mind about a career that or status that, defines purpose for you. Yeah, higher purpose for sure. All right. And then on the 12th, Libra, yeah, this is when the sun is conjunct. I have it on the third, on the ninth right now. But this is when the sun is and excuse me, is conjoined with Mercury, but Mercury is also ruling your 12th house of release, endings and release and surrender. It's also the house of spiritual growth, right? So it's a good thing. Creativity and but Venus has just moved into here on the ninth, right? This happens to be my son's birthday, but Venus is here. This is your natal Venus letting you release what no longer serves you, what limits you, what is associated with lack, related to lack for you, the past, the familiar past. I mean, it can be things that you're just sick of kind of dealing with or talking about, or whatever it is, right? It can be related to a wound, south wound, the south node, because this is what we want to move away from all the way, all the time in our lives in order to reach our higher potential, which is here. It's always on the axis, right? Now, Venus moving into it's being ruled by Mercury, and we talked about Mercury, right? You're thinking about your career, your status, or what have you. But Venus here is also rules your eighth house of transformation. So there's some type of a change that you want, or you feel like you're going through a change, or you will, or a release. Definitely. Um, yeah, and there's something here. It can also have to do with your money, right? Virgo is about your work. It can be about your well-being. You're kind of, am I living a life of, do I feel like I have well-being, right? Sometimes it's about our values, our self-worth, Venus. It's about the money. It's about your relationships, right? Yeah, it definitely is Venus there. So it can be all these themes that you are kind of, that is kind of on your mind. We see Venus making a square to Uranus in your ninth house of growth and expansion. That square there, you want change. It's that's what it's kind of, or change is good for you. Could be saying change and release over here. Trust your intuition because Venus is in your house of intuition. Trust your imagination. If you're imagining a new future for yourself, definitely do that. And Uranus is here. It's about change. Yeah, and Mars is here. And so Mars next to Uranus here, I consider this part of the square. They don't have that lit up here. Mars is at 7. It's in Mars with Uranus here. I have a video on Uranus as well, but moving into actually it is, yeah, and so moving into Gemini. But we have Mars. Mars wants something new. It's courage. Mars is the courage and the desire and the drive to do it. And this is about change. So this is you could be feeling like I need change to help me feel like there's something meaningful in my life, right? And Venus is there making the square. So there is some type of adjustment that's being asked for or requested, right? Now Mars is ruling your seventh house of relationships. It may have to do with that. Venus has to do with relationships as well. It can be business and clients. This is the house of one-on-ones, any type of one-on-one. It's also the house of what opposes you or doesn't agree with you. There can be something here that maybe hasn't agreed with you for a while, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of over that. That could be the case there, right? Yeah. Um, Yes, and yeah, Mars is in that house of growth and expansion, and also Mars is ruling your second house of well-being. So there is a connection here with that. All right, definitely. And Jupiter, let's talk about Jupiter because Jupiter is very important. It has just entered Leo. I'll do a separate video on that. It's in your house of the future aspirations. This is also helping you. Mars is coming from your ninth house of growth and expansion, and Jupiter is here in your 11th house of the future. Yeah, I may have spoken about that a little bit earlier, right? Mercury is in this conjunction, kind of telling Jupiter, what needs to happen. I think I spoke about this in the Capricorn full moon. Mercury ruling your house of growth over here in wisdom. So there's some wisdom that you are gaining here. And I'll talk a little bit because Jupiter moved into Leo. It can be about your self-expression, what you want to create for yourself, if you're enjoying your life. I think I mentioned that briefly, but Jupiter, I'll do a separate video on Jupiter, right? Because it's much more than I am talking about for you in that 11th house. Jupiter is really blessing you for the future. The 11th house is gains and it's hopes and wishes. So really good for you. So, look out for that video, right? Yeah. Yeah, we have the new moon in Cancer, and that's happening in your 10th house of career. So here we go back to the career and the status. That'll be on the 14th. I'll talk all about that and the aspects, right? And Venus. Venus makes a quincunx to Jupiter. Not Jupiter, but Neptune here. And this is being ruled by Mars. Right? We talked about Mars. There's an opportunity here for you. It's also sextiling Neptune. There's an opportunity here for you to either create more harmony in your life with change, or maybe to improve a relationship, right? Or sometimes business, clients, and things like that, because Mars is making that sextile here to Neptune. Now, Neptune is highly idealistic. So, But since this is a sextile, believe in your dreams, believe in your visions, have faith in yourself. It's in the sign of the self, Libra. Have faith in yourself as you move forward, right? Jupiter is associated with the future because it's about growth and expansion, and it's in your 11th house of the future. Jupiter's ruling your 6th house of work, health and wellness, and also your daily routines, your and obstacles, problem solving as well. How to solve the problems of, daily life, or, how to organize and um yeah, and that is about our habits and our routines and how they really affect our lifestyle, right? And it's in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. I was just saying that Jupiter's ruling this, right? Yeah, maybe you want a new lifestyle, a new work. Maybe you want new work because here the sun is in your house of career. Yeah. Um, yeah, and the sun in the 10th house can mean kind of I need recognition in my career, or I need to be recognized possibly for like my status, right? My role. That could be the case as well. That may be, part of the astrology here for you, right? Now, Jupiter is making that trine to Neptune, and the trine is beautiful. It's Neptune's in the sign of the self, in your house of relationships, and the trine is helping you move towards your higher purpose. Also, it can help you have faith in something that you want to kind of move forward with, right? But also, it is telling you definitely to trust your inner knowing, trust your intuition, Libra. Okay, don't watch videos, or, if you're not, always trust your intuition. That's just your higher self talking, right? It's not the part that says, oh, well, that might not work out, or I've made out my pros and cons list. No, that's the more the monkey mind, right? That's no, but your intuition is your higher mind, all right? Yeah, you don't need, thing I love about that is has nothing to do with our education, right? No, it doesn't. So, yeah, you could be, in the 8th grade and just trust your intuition. Yeah. So yeah, so this and so and Venus, I think I said this, Venus is in Virgo. It moves into Virgo on the 9th. And so this is discerning Virgo. So you want to improve something here before you release it, or a release is linked to improvement. Yeah, for sure. All right. So, yeah. And so Jupiter is making we'll talk about this in the next video, but in Jupiter and Leo, it's making an opposition to Pluto. So there's a big change here. And Pluto is in your 5th house of self-expression and recognition, right? How you shine, what makes you happy. So that's going to be very interesting there. I'll talk about that in the other video. The sun enters Leo on the 22nd, highlighting the future once again for you. The full moon is in Jupiter. I mean, not in Jupiter, in Aquarius, I beg your pardon, on the 29th. I'll do a separate video on that. Yes, interesting. So thank you so much, Libra, for joining me here. If you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It helps me to get to the next level. I really appreciate it. Make a comment as well. That is always appreciated. So thank you so much. And let's move to God, I beg your pardon, you guys. We're gonna move on to Scorpio. Yeah. So let's see here. And where are you? Where is my wheel here? Where is my, beg your pardon? And here it is. And we're going to put, I don't know why Cancer's showing up here. That's okay. Pulling up the app version rather than the online. That's okay. We're going to move forward now to, whoops, I'm going to move here, and we will put Scorpio on the ascendant. Hope I had you on the ascendant. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Okay. Hi, Scorpio. So this is going to be for your sun, moon, and rising. Just not sure why I'm kind of not showing up here. All right. So I hope you can see the screen there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's a crow out here, and good God, he's having I don't know what he's doing. All right. So let's look here, Scorpio. Um, He's mad at somebody, yeah. And so the sun is in Cancer. It's in your ninth house of growth and expansion. So that's a great place for your son to be. It sure is. It's in nurturing Cancer as well, right? Cancer always wants to protect whatever it is, kind of, it's the mother trying to protect whatever it is, kind of whatever's inside, things like that. Um, yeah, and maybe you are seeing things about yourself with the sun in Cancer, about your own emotional needs, about home and family themes. You could be. That could be the focus here, but this is definitely about growth and expansion for you. Wisdom you may be experiencing, right? And this Mercury is here as well. And so Mercury is always like, is the planet of thinking. So you're definitely thinking about what matters to you or what is meaningful or your purpose, all right, when we have the sun in Cancer. And so that will be there until the sun, he's having, I don't know what he's doing, fighting with somebody. The sun is in Cancer with, I hope he's okay, he might be hurt. The sun is in Cancer with, sorry, um, God, he threw me off. Until the 22nd when it moves, when the sun enters Leo, right? And we'll have the new moon in Cancer on the 14th, and I'll talk in your house of growth and expansion and wisdom and higher purpose. I'll have a separate video on that. And that will emphasize those themes for you, Scorpio, as well. Now, natal Mars is conjoined with Uranus, and I may have discussed this in the Capricorn full moon, but natal Mars wants change, definitely. Uranus does too, and Mars says, I have the courage to do it. In your eighth house of transformation, you're changing something very kind of, you're changing something that is very important. This is a hidden house. It is a house of deep psychological knowing. So that's what you're doing here, and you understand that to a certain degree or all completely. Now, Mars is also, it's being ruled by Mercury. Mercury's in your ninth house of growth and expansion, and Mercury is ruling your 11th house of the future. So whatever you're changing here is to improve your future, right? Mercury rules Virgo over here, and Virgo wants to refine all the time. Virgo's like, I'm going to be the one to improve this. Yes, they are. Um, yeah, and that's fine, right? Yeah, it is, definitely is. Yeah, and so let's see what else we have for you. Mercury is retrograde until the 23rd, so you could be in reflection. You could be Mercury showing up in that ninth house, right? In Cancer. Cancer is kind of a reflective energy as well. It sure is. I mean, it happens in summer when we're doing all these kind of family events, right? Cancer rules the family, but Cancer also rules kind of a quiet and kind of, being in the home as well. So, it is a very psychological sign, so it can be about reflection as well, right? Especially as it relates to our emotional needs. Yeah. And we have Venus is enters discerning Virgo, and that's on the 9th, July 9th. We'll move this forward. Here's Venus with the South Node as well. Wow. So and it's in, very discerning Virgo here. And Venus is about your relationships. You could be really kind of thinking here. Venus rules your 12th house of endings and release. You may want to release a relationship. You could, right? Venus is ruling here, but um there's something you want for the future that you know that you need to release here with the South Node as it relates to your future or as it hinders your future, really, right? Or as you may feel like it is hindering your future. Yeah, interesting there. Or that you're not growing because Mercury is in your ninth house of growth and expansion and ruling this ninth house or this 11th house of future aspirations, right? You might feel like, you need to release kind of relationships that you don't vibe with them anymore. You don't kind of choose those type of people. You're outgrowing them. That could be the case, definitely, for you, Scorpio. Yeah, you could gain clarity while Mercury is in retrograde. It will be in retrograde until after the sun enters Leo on the 23rd. And the sun will be conjoined with Jupiter, the planet of expansion and higher purpose, right? Or higher meaning, we could say. From the second week, where is the sun here? It's already here. It's already in this conjunction with Mercury. I was talking about Jupiter though, but that's okay. The sun is highlighting your thoughts here about, growth and expansion and what, your purpose, what's meaningful. But, as we move on, the sun gets closer to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your 10th house of career or your social role, your status, or whether or not you feel like you're holding authority over your own life type of thing, right? That's the 10th house, right? That's the authority and ambition and, kind of sometimes what we have achieved, but the authority and ambition over our own lives, yeah, can be about what we've achieved for the long term, right? Now it's going to catch up. The sun reaches Jupiter at a perfect conjunction at the end of the month in that 10th house of career and in self-expressive Leo. Leo wants you to be true and authentic to yourself. Maybe there's a career that you either a career or a social role that you no longer, you feel like you're outgrowing it, it looks like in this particular reading, right? Yeah, and it can't have to do with relationships. Leo is romantic, it sure is. Um, yeah, and the sun will be in its own sign, Scorpio, asking you to define what brings meaning to your life. As I have been kind of saying here, the full moon in Cancer's on the 14th. I'll have a separate video on that. And then we also have the full moon in Aquarius. The new moon in Cancer is on the 14th in your ninth house of growth and expansion. The full moon in Aquarius will be in your fourth house of emotional needs and home and family. So that will be the focus with the full moon. So you could be noticing your maybe, we'll see in that video. I'll have a separate video on that. I don't want to start kind of talking about that right now, right? And I'll have a separate video on Jupiter in Leo, which is very important and very powerful. It's there for a whole year. Really kind of letting each of us, kind of understand what brings meaning to our life, all right? Because it's very important. This is how we live longer, right? We do when we are, enthused with our life and we have purpose and things like that. That's just how it works, right? Yeah, and the philosophy for many of us will be changing with Jupiter moving into Leo, right? It's going to be, yeah, I'll talk about that in the next video. Thank you so much, Scorpio, for joining me here. If you liked my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell and I will see you in the next video. Make a comment, that's always appreciated, right? Ask a question, whatever that is. I'm looking at my, definitely checking my comments. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box below of all kinds of great readings that really help you see things about yourself. Small, nuanced things that, we always think we know everything about ourselves. And as we evolve, we go, wow, I didn't know that, right? So yeah, highly empowering they are. And very rich. And yeah, very rich, the readings I do, right? Yeah. Thanks so much. Let's move on now to Sagittarius. And we'll put Sagittarius. Uh, did I put you? I don't know if I put you on the, I think I did. Let's put you, Sagittarius, on the ascendant. I hope I did that with Scorpio, because geez, I'm just okay. A little tired here today, you guys, but kind of hang with me, all right? Because that was the eighth reading, and now I'm into the ninth. Okay, so Sagittarius, yeah, the sun is in Cancer in July until the 22nd when it enters Leo. So for you, it's in your eighth house of transformation. So, July is a month of change for you on some level. It has to be, right? This is the house of transformation. It's a nurturing and protective Cancer. So maybe you think that a change will be, self-nurturing or self-protective or for your well-being, right? Yeah, and that house is also where the sun sits, intimate partnership, shared wealth, understanding deep psychological themes. That's really important, right? How can we live if we don't understand these themes about ourselves? How can we live our true potential, right? Your natal chart, I show you all that, yeah, because there's always nuances that we don't, there's always something we don't know, we think we know. Yeah, is that how that works? Yeah. So here, yeah, and so this is the house of intimate partnerships, business or romantic or whatever, shared wealth, right? Which can be inheritance, commissions, bonuses, even taxes, but shared wealth and other people's money. Um, yeah, and crises. Yeah. So You might feel like something has to change here because it's not supporting maybe, your emotional needs or something. You definitely could be. Yeah, and so and Mercury is also in Cancer, and we see it here. So you are definitely thinking about a change here. It can be changed goals. Mercury has to do with whatever we're thinking about, our plans and our goals, our decisions, our choices. It can be, it's also siblings, right? But it can be, you need a change about something that's so familiar, and familiar and kind of is not bringing you any growth, maybe something like that, because Sagittarius needs growth, and Mercury is going to catch up here to Jupiter, and Jupiter is your natal ruler. So, and they're getting together here, right? And they definitely are. And Mercury will be kind of analyzing what brings you meaning. Interesting how Jupiter is entering your ninth house. Has already entered. It's already at 2 degrees on the ninth. It's going to be there for a whole year in Leo, self-expressive Leo. So for you, Sagittarius, Jupiter is going to really benefit you in a major way, and about your self-expression, your talents, higher purpose. Wow, expansion. And so I'll talk about that in a separate reading because this is your own house, the ninth house, and this is your natal ruler. OMG. So, only good things. But I'll have a separate video on Jupiter entering being in Leo for the whole year, right? Maybe you want to teach, possibly you might want to teach there with Jupiter. Jupiter is about teaching. You may want to do that. But interesting about how Jupiter has newly entered Leo, but it was here in your house of transformation and what is hidden from you. You may be realizing, I want to teach because Leo is self-expression, but you might not have realized that in this hidden house. The eighth house is a hidden house. Interesting how, and Mercury there, that's in Cancer, like with the sun, is ruling your seventh house of relationships. But this is your house of how you create harmony and balance in your life. It's also your house of uh one-on-ones, business and clients, not just relationships, any type though, business, right? And what is kind of like what you don't agree with, or people or things that don't agree with you, right? So Mercury is ruling that, so you're thinking about those seventh house themes, right? As you must be, because here's Mercury there, and because Mercury is ruling this house. Mercury also rules your 10th house of career. It's your career of status, right? A status could be, I want to change. I want to be a teacher, and I'm a dancer at night, right? No, I'm not really a dancer, you guys. I'm past those years, right? But just talking about a status change, getting married, getting divorced, having a child, retirement, even, right? The 10th house. So, but Mercury is ruling that, right? Venus moves into your 10th house of career and, taking authority over your own life, your status. It's there, and it is supporting the South Node, which means let go of things, Sagittarius, that don't serve your personal agency. Yeah, or don't serve your career aspirations, possibly. Yeah, that definitely could be, right? That don't serve long-term goals, that, that kind of, wear you down sort of, or just, kind of keep you in limited or in lack in some way. We always want to move away from the seventh, from the South Node. And also, Venus is ruling, what's the word? Venus rules relationships and the money we earn for ourselves, right? It can rule business and clients as well because it rules the seventh house in the natural zodiac. It rules our well-being, our self-worth, our values. Yeah, Venus is kind of a big one. But it rules everything good. It really, because it's a benefic. It is the junior kind of benefic here to Jupiter. And here it is. And asking you to release things that don't bring you value or maybe meaning, right? Or harmony in your life, and balance, right? Balance is really important. So there's Venus. Venus rules your 11th house of the future. So, you're thinking all about your future here, or this is helping you as you release this South Node, right? Things of the South Node, the past, could be childhood trauma, anything a wound, it could be. And so this can be about lifestyle. It is related to or health or work. It's, Virgo. um, right? Your habits and things like that. But we also have Venus ruling this 11th, and it rules your sixth house of, see, of your daily habits. So there's a theme here of your daily habits, your lifestyle, your work, your health and wellness. So Venus is ruling that house. So there's something going on here that you want differently, Sagittarius, with the sun in your eighth house of transformation and Mercury here kind of whispering in the sun's ears and saying, hey, this is good for my self-expression. I need change. We're here in this house of transformation, supplying the information. That's what Mercury wants to do. All right. Um, And let's see what else I asking here. Um, yeah, and so we have that new moon in Cancer on the 14th, and that's I don't know if I mentioned this, that will be in your eighth house of transformation. Lots of change for you, Sagittarius. It's a money house as well. And with Jupiter moving into your ninth house of growth and expansion in Leo, yeah, you could be, you could be earning more money. You definitely could with your creativity, you could, or just being authentic to yourself, whatever that is. Right. Yeah. And Jupiter rules your fourth house of emotional needs. I think I mentioned that. But with the new moon in Cancer, that is your emotional needs. And there's something going on there. I'll do a separate video on that. I'm also going to have a separate video on Leo entering, Jupiter as of June 30th, and a separate video on Aquarius full moon, and that will be very interesting. So thank you so much. And I did forget to say that the sun, I think I said this at the beginning, the sun enters Leo on the 22nd. But yeah, if you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box below. Everything is there. I have some great readings. And so, yeah, Jupiter's moving into Leo. I'm a Sag too. See, this is confidence as well. It sure is. Um, yeah, and so, yeah, make a comment if you guys like. Hit that little bell, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Everything is in that description box. Thanks so much, Sagittarius, for joining me here. And we're going to move to Capricorn now. And it's kind of unseasonably cool here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's not really summery here like it's supposed to be. Yeah. So Capricorn, let's talk about you instead of the weather, right? The sun is in your seventh house of partnerships, business, and clients, and one-on-ones, how you create harmony and balance in your life, and opponents, people or things that don't agree with you. It can be legal matters as well. The seventh house, that's where this is. So it's in nurturing and protective Cancer. That's a good thing, right? And this is can be about home and family, where the sun sits for you. You're meeting or fulfilling your emotional needs. hmm And on the 14th, I will have the video on the new moon in Cancer, talking about those same themes for you in a separate video. And Jupiter, the planet of expansion and higher purpose, is in a trine with Neptune. Neptune is retrograde. It is. But let's talk about Jupiter has just entered Leo into your eighth house of transformation. A big change for you in the next year, Capricorn, as it may have to do with your self-expression, may have to do with intimate relationships or money. The eighth house is not only transformation, it's, the money we earn with others or share or inherit, or just any type of money that has to do with other people, spouses, anybody really. But that is the house of the hidden. You could be understanding your talents better, or stepping into them, engaging them. I'll talk in about all Jupiter, I'll have a separate video on Jupiter entering Leo, which is going to be very kind of um, interesting for you. Yeah, and I would say powerful in your eighth house of transformation. A separate video on that. All right. Now, Jupiter is already, here at 2 degrees. I have this on the ninth. This is the same day Venus enters, or is Venus at in Virgo. But Jupiter is making a trine to Neptune in your fourth house of home and family, your emotional needs. So this trine is helping you kind of kind of have a lot of hope, or really believe. That's a better word. Believe. Neptune wants you to believe. It can be about illusions, but it's about your intuition and your hope, right? And faith. And what is so idealistic? Sometimes we become very idealistic, but Neptune represents our faith and our intuition. And here's Jupiter in your eighth house of transformation. Something will change for you, but you have to trust in it. If you understand what that is, it can be a vision that you have. Neptune is associated with visions. It's in the sign of the self, right? And Jupiter's in the sign of the heart, and where what you create and how you behave from the heart or authentically. So yeah, so this is very good for you. This is supporting you. It definitely is. Um, and I would say with that trine that this is exactly what can happen with that with that trine, that you will be really expanding. And if you believe in those dreams and visions, you can definitely expand. Yes, wow. For sure. And not Mercury, but Neptune is retrograde for until December the 12th. So you have plenty of time to kind of reflect. And Neptune can be about meditation and being alone. So we can grow really because Neptune rules the 12th house of spiritual growth. It also represents what we should release. So yeah, so there you go on that one. But that trine with Jupiter and Leo, not Leo, with Jupiter in Leo and Neptune's can really boost your confidence and your courage and expand your creativity. All right. And those can really help you change your circumstances, whatever they are, right? It's in the house of transformation, right? The trine can help you understand deeper mysteries and psychological themes in your life, because, it's coming from the hidden house. So this is how we understand things as we evolve and we grow. We understand things later that we did not understand when we were younger. All right. Yeah, so that's how that works, right? Jupiter is ruling your third house of thinking. So there you go. And plans and goals, right? Willpower, and so it's coming from a sign of confidence, but also it rules your 12th house of intuition and endings and release. So yeah, so I was saying that this is the house of spiritual growth. It's also the house of self-undoing. So maybe there's something that you were doing that was kind of hindering your self-expression, because when Jupiter since moved into Leo, it's saying, no, time to grow and expand, move into your higher purpose, trust who you are authentically, and, and shine and show your true self. The sun always wants to be seen, um, and even recognize who you are, what your talents are, like that, right? Yeah, it's very cool. All right, so I'll talk all about that though in a separate video. Venus has entered your ninth house. I don't know if I didn't talk about Venus for you, Capricorn, but Venus is here supporting your south node in your ninth house of growth and expansion. A lot of that going on for you. You're letting go of relationships here that are not meaningful to you. You are, or, people who are not meaningful to you, people who don't, bring kind of well-being to your life, or, it can be like that. You could be letting go of things, maybe work, or maybe projects that are, because it's in Virgo. Virgo can be about work, but you're definitely discerning here, letting go of things that, maybe it can be even jobs or your work where you're seeing yourself in a higher place now. I don't need to do this anymore. It's in your ninth house of growth and expansion. All right. Venus is supporting that you let go of those things that no longer bring meaning to you, or harmony and balance, right? Yeah. Or things that you don't value anymore. All right. So that's what Venus is doing there. And so Venus is ruling your fifth house of self-expression. There's a lot here: self-expression, talent, your confidence, your courage, and how you enjoy your life. And how you enjoy your life, Capricorn. It's very important how you enjoy your life. Yes, it is. We all live longer when we take vacations. I could use one. Excuse me. We step into our talents, and we play, we practice our hobbies and things like that, right? We all live longer with those things. Yeah, we do. We need that for our heart to fulfill ourselves. We certainly do. So, and that is the house of the heart, right? Yeah, and so Yeah, we talked about that trine there too with Jupiter and Neptune. We sure did. And you might be in reflection until December. I don't know if I mentioned that until maybe your birthday the time because Venus, not Venus, but Jupiter and the trine to Neptune. Neptune's in retrograde, right, until December the 12th. And also Mercury, I don't know if I mentioned this, Mercury is also in retrograde. Mercury's in your seventh house of relationships. You could be a lot of focus on that. Um, and also all those Venus themes kind of, not really Venus, but you might be, right? But these themes of meeting your emotional needs, right? Mercury rules your ninth house of growth, where Mercury sits in that seventh house. Mercury is retrograde until July 23rd. So, you have lots of time, a few weeks now to really kind of understand what it is that you want to create or what it is that you need to establish, what it is that you maybe need to let go of. Jupiter's ruling your ninth house of release, right? It just depends here. It does. But remember, Jupiter is in your eighth house of transformation. So there's a big change there. It definitely is for you. Um, yeah, Venus and Virgo is asking you to discern. It sure is. It's asking you to discern what you need to leave behind here, South Node, what's limiting you for your higher purpose, right? And then I'll have that full moon or the new moon rather in Cancer on the 14th. And I will also have a separate video. I think I mentioned this for sure on Leo in Jupiter. Be there for the whole month. It's very powerful and very important. It sure is because Jupiter is considered the great benefic. Yes, it does have a couple, it's not 100%, wow, the genie has arrived, right? Or, right? But it says, the rainbow, right? The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's not 100% that, but it does definitely lift us. And I will talk all about that. It is very beneficial, though, especially in Leo. Yes, it is, right? So, and then at the end of the month, the sun moves into Leo on the 22nd. And then at the end of the month, we have Aquarius full moon. I'll talk all about that. And for you, Capricorn, and that will be in your second house of well-being and money. And yes, and self-esteem. That's going to be very interesting. And that will be opposing your eighth house of transformation. And Jupiter. Yeah, wow, wow, wow. So we'll talk all about that. Thank you so much, Capricorn, for joining me here today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell, and I'll be back with a new video. Make a comment. I really appreciate comments for sure. And yeah, if you want a reading with me, check out the description box below. And so let's move now to Aquarius, harmony and understanding, right? I just got the lyrics on that, which is very cool, right? There was somebody on the tennis court making fun of the moon in the seventh house, right? And I just, God, you're so unhappy that you're going to make fun of a song that talks about love and evolution, evolving. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about you, Aquarius, because that was your song, and you are about evolving because you're about the future aspirations that have to do with innovation. Yeah, and also helping people, humanitarianism, social change. That's Aquarius, right? I knew an Aquarian. Well, I've known a few, of course, but one that was, told me that he was helping this, like charity. He was helping this lady, and I just thought that was so kind. They do like to help other people, and they don't like to see social injustice. Yeah, they don't. And that was a place of, it was kind of uh, a situation of social injustice, right? Um, yeah, just because of the status that she was kind of living in, right? So the sun is in your sixth house, Aquarius, for most of the month until the sun enters Leo on the 22nd. So here is the sun is in the sixth house. The sixth house, Leo, is where you and Mercury is there, where you're thinking about your daily affairs, your lifestyle, how your life works, functions on a daily basis. You're thinking about everything that makes your life work, your health and your wellness and your service and your work, right? Small pets are in that house as well. It's also a house of problem solving, and some astrologers will call it obstacles, that's where the problem solving helps, right? Of course. And so, Yeah, and so the sun is there on the 14th. We'll have the new moon in Cancer. It's going to be, talking about something new that you want in that house, right? Likely. And so I'll talk about that in that separate video. Um, yeah, and so we have Mars, the ruler of the planet of action, is conjoined with Uranus. So Uranus is your modern ruler, and Mars is here in Gemini. And I talked about this a little bit before, but it's still very important. It really is. Mars is saying, I want something new. This is in your fifth house of self-expression, your talents, how you enjoy your life, how you are true to yourself, right? It's the house of the heart, what you create for yourself, children as well, and all the fun that you might do, right? I said how you enjoy yourself. Um, yeah, and love and sex. I don't want to leave that out because that can be very enjoyable. It sure can. But that's the fifth house that it is in. And there's something you want here that is very self-expressive, it has to do with your self-expression or those fifth house themes I was talking about. Yeah. And Mars is in Gemini, so this is Gemini's, you're thinking about change here. You definitely are, all right? And the full moon will be in your sign at the end of the month, which is future-oriented Aquarius. So there's some type of change you want here. Now, yeah, because the full moon will be in your first house of self, which brings a powerful realization, about something culminating or something that may be ending for you, right? It's usually something ending or culminating. Big change, right? With the full moons, they definitely can be where we have the moon opposing the sun. They're kind of fighting each other. The sun is always the self-expressive, and the moon is my emotional needs. And kind of how can I, meet halfway in between, right, with the full moons. All right. So now we have Mars. We were talking about Mars here. Mars is being ruled by Gemini. Um, and Mars is Gemini rather is Mercury. Sorry, being ruled. It's in Gemini, being ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is ruling your eighth house of change, transformation, where Venus enters on the ninth, right? And here's today I have the wheel on the ninth. But Mars, and excuse me, Mercury is also ruling this fifth house, and um, Mercury is in Cancer right here. So you're thinking about, your emotional needs that need to be met, or those sixth house themes I'm talking about. But I feel like they have a lot to do with your maybe your talents or your work, um, or some type of change is very fundamental for you, right? Because here's Mercury ruling this house. Venus is moving into, on the ninth, has moved into your eighth house of transformation. You're changing your perspective about relationships, or maybe you're ending one. Transformation is, the house of life and death, or, endings really as well. But it's also the house of, intuition, where we're understanding our deep psychological needs. And going back to Mars, I'll talk a little bit about Venus in just a moment. Mars is ruling your third house of thinking. So here you are Mars is in your fifth house of self-expression, in very intelligent and curious Gemini. And Mars also rules your 10th house of career and your status, your roles. And that's the 10th house of, kind of have I achieved what I want? Am I really stepping into my true authority in my life, taking authority and ambition over my life, or do I need another role? That's the 10th house, a different status, right? And so it's in Scorpio, which is, understanding. Scorpio is the intuitive and the transformative, right? Sign, very interesting. All right. Now, Venus, we see here Venus is conjunct with the South Node. You're definitely letting go of relationship themes, Aquarius, or themes of values. It could be about how you value yourself. Venus rules your fourth house of emotional needs and your ninth house of growth and expansion. And this is in your eighth house of transformation. So Venus wants you to grow here in your eighth house. It wants change. It wants major change, but it wants you to grow. It rules your ninth, and it rules your fourth of emotional needs and home and family. It wants you to have something meaningful and to meet your needs. And that can have to do with your work, your how you earn your money, your relationships, harmony and balance in your life, your own self-worth, and what you value, right? You could be changing the way you value people. Or your values itself, you could be doing that. But it's with the South Node, so you're leaving whatever it is that is limiting your well-being, basically, I would say, or or your relationship with money, maybe. But you are definitely leaving something behind here or purging this, and Venus is helping you do it, right? Remember, Venus is also about love. It's about romantic love as well, right? Self-love, romantic love, and it's opposing the the North Node here in your house of well-being and values, right? So there we go. This is also your house of money from a money house. So maybe you are, leaving behind these attitudes about I don't deserve money and, or a lot or something like that, right? And you do. We all do. Yeah, we all really deserve abundance, right? We don't need millions of dollars, but we do need abundance. We sure do, right? And I think I mentioned we also have the new moon in Cancer. I think I mentioned that on the 14th. I'll have a separate video on that. And the sun enters, the sun will enter a Leo on the 22nd. Let's move this up. And the sun, yeah, here it is. The sun is entering uh Leo. Here it is at 0 degrees, and that will be opposing Pluto. Wow, in your first house. That's very interesting there, I'd have to say. Also asking for some type of a transformation, and the sun will be in its own sign. So this is definitely about how you show up in relationships or how you create harmony. It's the seventh house in your own life, maybe business and clients, but it's about your self-expression and what makes you happy. Yeah, with this opposition to Pluto, which is definitely change. And Pluto can be a little bit of a troublemaker. It represents power, manipulation, but it also represents crises. It can be power, like your own personal power as well. It definitely can, but I'll talk yeah, I will I'm going to talk about and that will enter that will happen after that. Jupiter will also be, excuse me, guys, Jupiter will also be opposing Pluto, and I'm going to have a separate video on Jupiter entering Leo. Um wow, this is really going to help your relationships, either that or, expand expand your ego. We'll talk all about that, Aquarius, right? We always have the lower and the higher expression we do. But with that opposition to Pluto, no, there's a major change here in yourself. We'll talk about that in that. It's going to talk about many other things. The Jupiter entering Leo or in Leo for 1 year. I will have that video very soon. It's going to be highly fascinating, right? Because I mean, the sun is the ego. And the ego is not always the ego in a bad way. The ego is how we identify with ourselves, right? Well, I'm a teacher and I have these qualities. That's kind of like my ego, right? And so, or somebody's ego, but it only becomes egotistical when we become very self-centered, right? Because the sun does represent the center of the universe, right? It rules the solar system, and so, and the cosmos, and so it's moving into its own sign. So, there's going to be a lot that's going to be interesting, but Jupiter there will expand whatever we have here. This can really help improve your relationships as well. We'll talk about it later in that video. We will definitely. And on the 29th, Aquarius will be the full moon in your sign. Um, But there is something fundamentally that you want to change. There is here, with the astrology. Saturn is here. Mars is in your fifth house of self-expression and love and sex. And Mars is ruling your third, where your ruler sits. And Saturn is your ruler, and it is making this quincunx to Venus in your eighth house of transformation and intimate relationships. There's something that you want to fundamentally change here. This is your house of thoughts. It's coming from the sign of self, your plans and your goals, your possibly your perspective, the way you think about things. And it is making a quincunx, asking you to adjust something that is in that house of transformation to Venus. which I mentioned is about, love and harmony and self-worth and also money. All right. So, and our values. So there's something fundamentally changing here for you. Saturn is your ruler and it also rules your 12th house. So you could be releasing something. Remember, we can easily release something if something is sitting in the house of transformation because we want something to change. So at the end of the month, Aquarius, I will definitely have that video, right? The full moon in your sign. That's going to be highly interesting. I think I might have kind of mentioned that at the beginning of the at the reading. But this will be about a major change for you or a powerful realization of the full moon, and the sun will be in your opposite sign, in the sign of self-expression. And this is very important, that your axis with Leo. Yeah, Leo is about the self, really, and what you can create for yourself. And it's in your house of relationships. And Aquarius is about what we can create with the collective or how we can share it and, or kind of help other people and things like that. So I'll see you in the next video, Aquarius. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box. My website's there. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make a comment. It really helps. It can be a fun comment, any type of comment, right? Yeah, and I will definitely be checking. All right. So thanks so much, Aquarius, for joining me here. And now I will move into Pisces. So let's put Pisces on the ascendant. Yeah. Where are you, Pisces? And here you are. All right. So Pisces. Let's move forward to the notes, even though I often forget to even look at them. Yeah. So we have the sun is in nurturing Cancer in your fifth house of self-expression, talents, and creative expression. This is, the sun there is in its own natural, it's actually in Leo. Wait a minute, this is the wrong day here. That's at the end of the month or the 22nd. So we're starting on the 3rd. This is how I want to do it this time. But the sun is in its own house, so it's very powerful. It's in Cancer, nurturing and protective. So this is having you focus. The sun can, have us focus on because the sun is the center of the universe. So you could be focusing on your self-expression, your talents, your true authentic self, which is beautiful for you, Pisces. It really is. And it's in this sign that is nurturing and, talks about our emotional needs. So very good, right, for you. Um, yes, and so yeah, it's showing you how important your sense of self is tied to your emotional needs. That's what it's doing there. It's also in the house of romantic partners and children. Maybe you're seeing something there about about yourself that can possibly, make you shine better or make you more true and authentic to yourself about relationships, right? Um, yeah, and so we have Mercury as well. Mercury is is our thinking, it's kind of the brains here. And Mercury is also in that fifth house. Mercury in Cancer is asking you to think about these matters, about these fifth house matters and how to meet your emotional needs as well. Yeah, and so Mercury is the ruler of your fourth house of emotional needs here, Pisces. So there we go, right? Here's the connection. Mercury is ruling your seventh house of relationships. So, you could be kind of moving into a time here where you're shining more and you're being true to yourself, but you're enjoying relationships more. That could be the case, or you are, showing up a little different, right? True and more authentic and likely more powerful, meeting your own emotional needs. And the South Node is here in your seventh house of relationships. It's also your house of clients and one-on-ones and how you create harmony in your life. Very important. And Mercury is ruling that house. And so we have this, on the 3rd, actually, the moon is actually making an inconjunct to the moon in Aquarius, future-oriented Aquarius is making this, and in your house of endings and release, making a conjunction, not a conjunction, but a quincunx, which is also called an inconjunction to the South Node. And it's saying, make an adjustment. Maybe there was a misunderstanding about how you saw yourself in relationships or how you created harmony and balance in your life. That is the misunderstanding. The other meaning of the quincunx is an adjustment needs to be made, kind of like a little bit of change there, right? But it's asking you to let go of these old beliefs in yourself or the old perspectives maybe you had about relationships or harmony and balance. This is about the past and what limits you, the South Node, all right? Yeah, wow. And so, yes, and it's going to be moving next month or at the end of this month, I believe, into Leo. It's at 0 degrees. So yeah, so there's that, and this is in your house of endings and future oriented Aquarius. So, and Venus is Mercury is ruling that house. Interesting. So you're thinking about your self-expression here, how to meet your emotional needs, and you're letting something go here, Pisces, that needs to go, really. It's an old way of thinking, maybe. It's in Virgo. Virgo is discerning Virgo. Virgo wants to improve, but it's very thinking and discerning. So you're seeing what needs to go. You are. And there's a trine to Chiron in your house, in Taurus, which is about values, your self-worth and your well-being. That trine to Chiron, it's been there for a little while. I talked about that in a past reading, but that's very nice, which is helping you to let go of that. Venus is the ruler of Chiron here, and Venus has just moved into Leo on the 9th, right? Virgo on the 9th. Let's move it up here. Here it is. So Venus is here in your 7th house of relationships, making the trine as well now to Chiron. Right on. So Venus making that trine is yeah, it's been there for a little bit, but in Leo it will be even more powerful. Why do in Virgo it will be more powerful? Because Virgo is Mercury is in your 5th house of self-expression and love and sex and how you shine and your true self, your authentic self and your talents. So, Venus has moved into Mercury ruled uh, discerning Virgo, and you're leaving behind these patterns about relationships. You're like, I don't need to do that anymore. And you're healing it. You're seeing yourself different in relationships. You are. And Venus ruling into Virgo is helping you because Virgo is, um, Virgo is the discerning one, right? Now, yeah, let's see here what else I have for you here. And yes, we talked about, and Venus is also opposing the North Node. So not only is it conjoined here with this South Node, helping you to purge ideas about relationships, really, but it is let's give your self-worth with clients as well. If you have your own business and things like that. But Venus is opposing the North Node in your sign of self. And this is also helping you to raise the bar and move into your true potential as you release over here. This is awesome, right? Release what no longer serves you. Okay. You're seeing yourself in the moon, the sun in your 5th house, and then the sun moving into Leo. You're seeing yourself in a new light, a very powerful. You're seeing yourself more true to yourself here. All right. Yeah, and then the sun will move into your 6th house on the 22nd of Leo, in the sign of, self-expression and romantic love, right? This is a playful sign as well, but this is really where you shine in your talents. And so the sun will move here, showing you something about your self-expression and your lifestyle that you have. So, yeah, and we're going to talk about Jupiter in another video because Jupiter will also kind of address that because Jupiter will be in your 6th house of health and work and your health and wellness, your work, and also service. Right. Yeah. And so I think Pisces is also associated with charity, I think a little bit, but because they're compassionate and they're healing, right? But when Jupiter moves there, I'll have a separate video there. Jupiter is going to kind of bless you with your work, Pisces, and also your self-expression, your talents, your daily lifestyle. Yeah. So whatever you're doing here, I hope you're doing really well here with your daily habits, right? Because if you are, it's really going to bless you. Yeah. And I'll talk about that in that separate video. All right. Because Jupiter is ruling your 1st house of self. Awesome. Right. Yeah. and your 10th house of authority over your own life and your career. So that's going to be really good. We have the full moon in Aquarius at the end of the month. I'll have a separate video on that. So, yes, thank you so much, Pisces, for joining me. If you'd like your own reading with me, check out the description box. I approach the chart in a very, I think, in a very unique way, very empowering, showing your soul gifts, your soul lessons, and many other things that you may not know about yourself. So nuanced, yeah, very, very empowering, definitely. And also, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. And make a comment, Pisces. I always appreciate any comments that you make. Thanks so much for joining me here, and I'll be back with another video.